Hello and guten Tag. My name is Martin Krausch and I'm a Senior Systems Engineer at Brocade Germany. So first of all, my apologies to all native-speaking English persons for my maybe here and there funny-sounding German accent. Today, in this video, part 2, Introduction to the ICX series, I would like to show you how to configure the ICX systems so that external management applications can get access to the box, basically by configuring SNMP, Syslog and sFlow. There are several methods which can be used to access the Brocade ICX systems. Within my last video I already covered the serial console port connection, telnet SSH access and web-based access. Within this video I would like to cover SNMP, RMON and Syslog access and sFlow monitoring. For these methods you need a special management application like the Brocade Network Advisor tool or any third-party management product which at least supports SNMP. Let's start with simple Syslog messages, which are sent from Syslog clients to so-called Syslog servers. The Syslog message components are a facility code, which is used to specify the type of program that is logging the message, a severity level like emergency, alert or critical messages, and of course the message itself. SNMP stands for Simple Network Management Protocol. SNMP is an Internet Standard Protocol for collecting and organizing information about managed devices on a network. SNMP-compliant devices called agents store data about themselves in so-called Management Information Bases, MIBs, and they can return this data to SNMP requesters. SNMP also can send messages, called protocol data units or SNMP traps, to different parts of a network. SNMP version 1 is the original version of the protocol. Meanwhile, more recent versions like SNMP version 2C and SNMP version 3 have improved performance, flexibility and security. So in contrast to Syslog messages, especially SNMP version 3 can send SNMP traps encrypted so that nobody else can read the messages. A very useful protocol is LLDP, which stands for Link Layer Discovery Protocol. LLDP is a vendor-neutral link layer protocol used by network devices for advertising their capabilities to neighbors. Information gathered via LLDP is stored within a device as a Management Information Database (MIB), and this can be queried via SNMP. The topology of an LLDP-enabled network can be discovered by polling this information from the devices. LLDP not only runs between network devices like switches or routers, but also between switches, routers and end systems. LLDP-enabled end systems like IP, telephones or access points are also called LLDP media endpoint devices. Remote network monitoring, RMON, is a kind of extension of SNMP. There are two versions, whereas the latest level is RMON version 2. The Brocade devices currently support statistics, which is RMON group 1, history, which is RMON group 2, alarms, which is RMON group 3, and events, which is RMON group 9. For enhanced traffic monitoring and accounting, the Brocade devices support a technology called sFlow, which is a hardware-based technology. sFlow especially reduces cost and complexity of provisioning probes throughout the network and eliminates the need of span or mirror ports. It's protocol independent to ensure that all traffic is seen. Typical use cases are event management, traffic monitoring and troubleshooting, accounting, security and detailed custom reports to detect rogue services. How does it work? First of all, you need a device which basically supports sFlow. So all ICX 7000 devices support sFlow in hardware. What you have to do is to enable a so-called sFlow agent. In addition, you need some kind of software which can collect, display and analyze the information sent by the sFlow agent. As soon as the sFlow agent is active, it starts sending sFlow packets to the analyzing software. The amount of packets can be configured and is depending on the so-called sampling rate. Further information can be found at www.sflow.org. So, how to configure all these features? Let's start with LLDP. Just change into the configuration terminal mode, and all you have to type in is LLDP run. Let's wait a few seconds so that the neighbors can exchange the LLDP information, and after a while you can check whether LLDP is running correctly. With show LLDP neighbors, you can see we have detected a neighbor system, an ICX 7750, and you can see the physical connections between these two logical stacks, in this case, are going from port 1/2/2 to port 2/1/18 and from port 2/2/2 to port 2/1/17. You can also have a look into the neighbor details by typing in show LLDP neighbors detail, and then you can see additional information of the detected LLDP neighbor. Next, I would like to show you how to configure Syslog. So, logging is enabled per default, and you can see here the internal logs, which you can display by just typing in show logging. And if you want to send these logs to a Syslog server, you just have to configure the server by changing into the configuration terminal mode and just type in logging host and then the IP address of the host, for example 127.128.196. That's all you have to do, and now all the Syslog messages are sent to this server. Now it's time to show you how SNMP is set up on the box. I just have prepared it and show running config, pipe, include SNMP. Here's all you need to set up SNMP. So first of all, you have to configure a so-called SNMP view. Basically, a view defines what kind of MIBs can be accessed by the management system. Here I have defined view all system. Then you have to configure an SNMP host. That's basically the IP address of the management system. And here it's using version 3, which is an encrypted version. And it's linked to the user iron view, the one I already configured in my first video. Next, you have to configure a so-called SNMP server group with the name ironview_MNM. It's also using SNMP version 3, and it has the right to read all, write all, and to notify all, so it's allowed to send SNMP traps to the attached management station. Last but not least, you have to link the user iron view to this newly configured group, and you have to define that this group is also using version 3, and also you have to type in here the authentication and privacy protocols. Here within the show running configuration it's already encrypted, but if you type it in, you can type it in the clear text. But as soon as you have typed it in and do a show run, you will see an encrypted version of it for security reasons. To check whether SNMP is working, just type in show SNMP and you see the system has received some SNMP queries from the station and also has sent some SNMP traps or updates to the management station. Last but not least, here's an example how to configure sFlow on the systems. First of all, you have to enable sFlow on a global basis, and then you have to define an sFlow collector, a so-called destination with the corresponding IP address. And then you have to enable sFlow on individual interfaces. Here, for example, on the interface 1/2/2 and 2/2/2. And you also can configure different sampling rates for each interfaces. A sampling rate of 256 means that from every 256 packet, the first bits of the packet itself and an sFlow packet header will be sent to the sFlow collector software. Just one important hint if you want to configure more than one system. You don't have to type in all these commands on each system, but you can simply copy and paste the running configuration from one system to the other system. I would like to show you how this works. Just type in show run. And you can see here we have some VLAN configuration. We have a user iron view with a password, here encrypted management. But as you can see, we have no SNMP set up. We have just set a few interfaces to sFlow forwarding, but no configured sFlow collector. And now we just can copy and paste the missing configuration parts from the system we just configured to this ICX 7750 box. How to do this? Just change into the configuration terminal mode. And here we have a copied part of the configuration we just prepared. Just copy it and say paste. And you can see here, if typing a show run, that now the system also has an SNMP configuration. Now it can be reached by the SNMP station, and also sFlow has a configured destination as well as enabled on a global basis, and LLDP is running. After configuring all these features on the boxes, I would like to show you now what kind of information you can get out of the systems and how to display them in a management software tool. Here it's the Brocade Network Advisor tool, and the Brocade Network Advisor tool has many features, and explaining all of them would go far beyond the scope of this video. So I just want to concentrate on the SNMP settings. So first, how to discover all the systems. Of course, you could discover each of these systems one by one, but you have here kind of automatic discovery. So go to discover IP products, and here have a global setting, and here you can set in the parameters for SNMP access. For example, for SNMP version 3, use user ID, the authentication protocol, you're using the privacy protocol and the passwords. And here you can store more than one SNMP setup, so the tool will automatically scan the network and test these settings, and whenever one of these settings will fit, it will automatically be stored within the local database. Also, you can put in here default passwords for login credentials, and of course program a kind of profile where you can also define what kind of subnets will be scanned and whether it's done on a regular basis. So, after discovering these products, you also have to configure the management tool to accept encrypted traps from the SNMP version 3 enabled devices. How to do this? You have to go to Monitor, then to SNMP Setup, and then to Event Reception. Just click on it. And here you see you also have to configure the correct SNMP credentials, because all the SNMP version 3 traps are encrypted. If you don't put in the correct passwords, you won't be able to receive the encrypted traps from the systems. Okay, so when the systems are discovered, you first of all see that on the bottom of the screen you get many messages. So there are SNMP traps, snort messages, and for example, if you're trying to log into one of the system via Telnet, for example, you instantly get an SNMP trap and a syslog message, because basically we have configured both of these messages on the systems. So you will get these messages in parallel. Next, because we have enabled LLDP, you see all the physical links displayed in this topology view. And if you just point on one link, you see the correct interfaces and how they are connected. This is extremely helpful to double check whether your physical connections are correct, and this will be the first hint when troubleshooting the network whether all connections are set up in the correct way. Next thing I would like to show you is, if you right click on a box, you can go to the Properties tab. What you see here is all information pulled from the system, like system name, the IP address, how to reach the system, the OIDs, so that's related to SNMP, internal MIBs, what kind of system it is, it's a router, the serial number, and so on and so on. You also can see the overview of all ports and the state of the ports. And if you want to have detailed information about a port, you can right click and select search. And for example, I would like to take a look at port number 122. Here it is. That's the correct port. And you see here, it's a 10 gig Ethernet port, it's tagged, it's full duplex. And I can have a look at the port and just click on real-time graph or table. So for this port, you see automatically a real-time graph will pop up, and here you can select, for example, I would like to see all packets are going into the system. Just click on this arrow button and, for example, all going out. And you see instantly here we have a red mark, and now the first SNMP values are pulled from the system and are displayed within this graph. And this will last a few seconds, a few minutes, and you see now the graph is starting, and you can see the packets per second on this graph. I just skipped a few minutes, and here you can see how this graph is looking after a while. The last thing I would like to show is how to display sFlow values. First you have to go to Monitor, then to Traffic Analysis, and then to Monitor sFlow. Here you can see all systems which are sending sFlow values to the management station are marked with this kind of icon. So you can select one of them, for example this one, click on View, and the browser pop-up window will be displayed, and you can here, for example, see the to report with all MAC addresses, in and out ports, VLAN numbers, and also some information about the priority. Here, for example, you see priority number 7. This is a hint that this is most probably a spanning tree for LLDP Also can have a look at the layer 3 reports, and here you can see IP addresses, that's coming from, where it's sending data to, what kind of protocol, also DSCP values, which means priority values within the IP header, and this gives you a first insight into the traffic of your network. If you want to dig more into this information, then you can again go to Monitor, Traffic Analysis and Custom Reports. And here, as you can see, a lot of reports are already pre-configured, which you can use. You can also create a new kind of report if you would like to. And I would like just to select a pre-configured report like top destinations by bytes. Just click on it, click on Edit. And here you can select what kind of information you want to display within this report. I would like to have multiple products, for example. I select this one here. It's an Ethernet fabric with a lot of ports. I want to see inbound and outbound statistics. There are many filters which you can set, starting from what kind of VMs you want to look like, what layer 2 details, so technically what source and destination MAC addresses, what input values within the layer 2 header, and VLAN numbers, the same for layer 3, IP address ranges, source ports for TCP, IP connections or UDP connections, user identifications, routing, what kind of subnets, what kind of time settings. Here I would like to see the last 24 hours, and you have here a kind of result settings where you can select what kind of information you would like to see. For example, I would like to see also which device. I would like also have a look into the input port and as well into the output port. Here I can select this. Output prioritization, for example, and you also can here shift up and down how the report will look like if it's generated. So, okay, just click on Run. And again, website will pop up, and here is a report with a device name, destination address, layer 3 protocol, layer 4 protocol, total bytes, input port, and you see this is the output port and output priority, and this is the kind of information you would like to see, that, for example, these IP addresses are using the most bandwidth within the network, and here it's only a test network, so not much to display, but basically this gives you a good overview what kind of information you get out of the system by using sFlow. At this point, I really would like to encourage you to test the Brocade Network Advisor tool, so that you can experience the tremendous advantages all the powerful features of this tool are bringing to you. Within my next video, part 3, I would like to show you how to combine several physical boxes into one large logical box with a technology called stacking. But for today, I would like to thank you for your time and say goodbye and auf Wiedersehen.